Thanks for shining on with us. Thank you for waking up and shining on with us today at Shine Time Studios in Cumberland, Maryland.
We've been away for a while, and, we've needed that break to kind of see where we were and where we want to go with this project.
It's been an interesting vacation, and we're looking forward to going full force into Project Bring Me to Life again. We got a lot happening. Crystal Chalice Awards are being planned, and we've got the website getting a revamp. So much is happening.
Yes, we are on Twitter at Project Bring Me to Life and Facebook.com/Project Bring Me Life. So make sure you give us a like and a follow us on, our social medias, because we do lots of stuff and we interview a lot of amazing people who align with the same things that, we're aligned with: higher consciousness, spirituality, equality, and unity.
Yeah, and lots of artsy musical awesomeness. So today we have an interview with Harrison
Crawford. He's a super incredible artist. Mm-hmm. He's quickly becoming one of my favorite artists of all time.
He's also on the current nominees poll for a possible Artist of the Year for Crystal Chalice Awards 2016, and the polls are being built, so you can find out more information on our website, projectbringmelife.com.
Yep.
And that's something that we want your input on, so we hope you join us and give us some interaction in the chat rooms and the polls.
Give us your input.
Emails, get a hold of us, Facebook. We like to talk to people.
Mm-hmm. So, it makes sense that Harrison Crawford is nominated for Artist of the Year, because he definitely deserves it. And you're going to find out why in this conversation, because we get in pretty deep with some of the reasons that he paints, and just really motivational topics. So very excited to be here with you guys.
Yep, we talk about sacred space, acrylic painting, the meanings behind paintings that sometimes even the artists don't realize. It's a really great topic, and like Celia said, it's very inspirational. So we hope you stay tuned with us. It's going to be a great show. For many of us, spirituality is just the quest to find essence or true meaning, and to really just connect with a higher consciousness.
Welcome to the Bring Me to Life Network.
Connecting with your spirituality is very important in this life. By becoming mindful of all of that, you can realize where you are and if that is leading you to where you want to go.
Listen to the little simple things, because it's those little simple things that are going to shift you vibrationally in such a way that will prepare you to become very intuitively minded and ready to step forward on the next part of your path.
I hope you can feel the love that's inside you, it's inside me, that connects us.
Awakening humanity to spirituality and higher consciousness.
We are so excited to have you on our podcast today, Harrison. Can you go ahead and tell us a little bit about yourself and who you are, what you do, and where you come from?
All right. I'm Harrison Lance Crawford. I'm an art monkey here in Baltimore. I'm a full-time artist. I've been arting for about my whole life, and have been doing it as live painting and pouring and all that for 3 years.
Beautiful. What was it that made you decide to be an artist, and what exactly is an art monkey?
Gotcha. Well, I didn't necessarily decide to be an artist. I decided to finally listen to all the loud noises in the back of my head, essentially. It's a thing that has to happen, not a thing that I necessarily choose to. What I choose to do is hone it and discipline it and structure it and build it into something more grand, something I can ripple out with. And I chose to do that because of my first time live painting and seeing the reaction of the people that got to have their monkey brains mirror neuron what I was doing. I got to see them be inspired. I got to see them grow and make these same connections that I were, and I became addicted to it. I needed it, and I needed it a lot. And an art monkey is kind of a similar thing, where it's not a habit. It's not, I don't art because I get around to it. I art because I have to. It's a naturally occurring thing. It's like, it's in my genetics. You know, like a monkey has to climb a tree, a fish has to swim, and a bird has to fly. Like an art monkey has to paint on things at places and dance around and, you know, grow bananas.
For sure.
Yeah, bananas grow, you know, they provide a lot of potassium and help keep your muscles nice and loose. I love that you use art as a verb. Is like, I don't know, you always have the most coolest, I don't know, word collaborations.
Yeah.
It develops from like not necessarily having a pretty big vernacular. I would try and express something kind of succinctly or quickly to somebody, and I would just piece together the parts of it, you know, the thing I was trying to say with as many metaphors and combinations as I could, and like, you know, sentence structure or proper English be damned, like I communicated the thought that I was trying to get to the other person, and over time it just developed into my actual language.
You're like Snoop Dogg. You have your own language.
Yeah.
Creating it. We need to figure out a name for it now. So what exactly is your medium of choice? You like to art. Art is what you do, but do you have a specific kind of art or style?
Well, I've always been an illustrator. I've been drawing like Disney VHS tape covers and comic books, since I was, you know, super youngin'. And, only in the past few years have I started really painting, acrylic. I'd like to get into oil. I'd like to start learning Old Master at the end of the season, but going to school during touring season is just not applicable. But predominantly illustration and brushwork, like with acrylic.
So would you like to tell us maybe about a few of your favorite pieces and maybe about that really cool one that's right next to you?
Gotcha. This big one is called Just for Today. It's a dragon made out of waterfalls and forests, and this little dude here is going to be facing them off. It's going to be a rendering of addiction and not letting it be something that you're the victim of, but just something that you repurpose. Drive, conviction, the way that a flower wants sun. It's the same energy, it's the same juju in your brain, but it's just, you know, you do something different with it. We're the ones that put the connotations on it, whether it's good or bad, constructive or destructive. I feel I could be wrong. And my other favorite piece, recently has probably been the Sycophants, or the Seraphim of Sycophants, Courage to Change Things I Can. I've recently finished it, been posting about it a lot. And it's part 3 out of a series of 4 called Serenity Prayer, where I'm breaking the Serenity Prayer into 4 different illustrations. And, it's been awesome. They've been really, almost uncomfortably honest journal entries. But it's been cool because I get to, not only go through the healing process myself, but kind of spark that cog in other people's brains. And that's been an honor.
Beautiful.
Yeah. I have a journal that I do write in every day, and most of the time I don't really write that in depth of what I've gone through. And recently I just started writing about some really unpleasant childhood traumas, and getting that out, even if it's just on paper and in journal, it feels really good. So I'm glad that you brought that up. And just a lot recently, a lot of people have struggled with addiction and unhealthy habits.
And I think a lot of people use art and writing and music as a really good form of like therapy for that. And there always seems to be this sort of like spiritual journey that leads artists into really like putting meaning behind their work. I remember, like, I'm an artist too, and I've always been an artist, but there was a point when my art changed, when I gave more meaning to it. There was a meaning behind it rather than just like sketching to sketch and to like enhance my skill. There was like, basically, like you said, like putting a journal on a canvas. And I'd really love to hear maybe like a spiritual journey or like a spiritual experience that you've had that inspired some of your more in-depth pieces.
Gotcha. Well, that's a big one. Forgive me.
Sorry, coming in hot there.
No.
Coming in hot.
They're all journeys, you know, all but like maybe 3 or 4 of them that were just for funsies. To accept the things I cannot change, a ceremoniously contrite falter, the one before the one I just recently finished. That one has a full write-up and like 8-page dissertation about what all the things mean and what everything is and why I did all of that. And that one I'm going to start doing with all the other ones as well. And I have enjoyed that process of the three pieces I have so far of the Serenity Prayer because of it giving me that template, of it teaching me an honesty I wasn't ready for. Yeah, I learned that through my work I can move the synapses around in my brain and the behaviors and mannerisms around just like I was the things on the canvas, just like I was the paint, you know. And it was tricky because as much for focusing on it for 100 hours or so, or more, you know, considerably more probably, if these defects and to accept the things I cannot change became all of my behaviors. They became all the things I was thinking about. They became everything that I was wearing and doing. They leaked everywhere. But it was great because as I'm watching these things and holding these things and feeling them, I wasn't sad or beaten up by them or the victim of them. I was able to get a hold of them and see why I behave like that and what happens when I behave like that, where it comes from, and really just work my way all the way around it and then stop. And it was awesome. It's been awesome to watch this happen, to watch what was these pounds of flesh, these renderings of attrition, become inspiration for other people. You know, become excitement for other people. Watching paintings that have almost made me want to stop doing art, make other people start doing art. It's like, whoa. Yeah. And in terms of a spiritual connection, it's every time, not so much when I'm standing in front of the piece, but when I'm watching somebody else stand in front of the piece and watching that look in their eyes. Watching this light bulb get brighter and brighter and brighter, watching these dots connect for them. The spiritual moments, I mean, they happen to an extent as I'm in the process and in the trenches of the composition, but it's not an on-off switch. It's just an always, it's a constant white noise of that process and everything. But the biggest moments for me happen, partially when, like, the people are really connecting with it, and partially when the composition finds its home. You know, every now and then, I'd say that about 90% of the time, when I broker a painting, it goes to someone that needed it. You know, that was crying, that had a moment that is elated, that's something, you know, and it's, wow. You know, Van Gogh said, "Artists to console those who are broken by life," and I get to see this medicine work its way into not only the community that I'm a part of, the culture as a whole, and it's awesome.
Definitely, the planet definitely needs it. There's a lot of people out there who are struggling with the same things that, you know, artists are struggling with and musicians and whatnot. But once they see that other people can accept it and, like, put it out there, it gives them courage.
For sure. And I love how you said that, like, you may not even realize it too, but you're, like, making the piece as medicine for somebody that needs it at that time. And I've heard so many artists say that, like, they don't realize it, but they do realize it. We're channeling that imagery, and sometimes we don't realize exactly the message it is until you see that light bulb go off, and then you ask somebody, "What did you see in that piece?" And you're like, "Wow, I made that and I didn't see that." Like, that's amazing. Just like what an image can do for so many different people in so many different situations.
Absolutely. Well, and earlier it said people that are like dealing with addiction or healing from it, or this, that, and the other, to where with all this, I try and use it as a channeling hit. You know, it's that sometimes it takes until the reaction of the person for me to see what it was I was doing, but something I learned in, like, my late teens, early 20s was to set the intention of what I'm working on as I'm doing it. I'll tell myself as I'm starting the drawing or starting the painting that I'm painting this time period or this feeling or this journal entry or this writing specifically. And I'll notice it come out of other people's conversations as they're watching me live paint or as they're asking me about the painting. They'll just, before it's even explained that that's what the painting is about, they'll start talking about their version of this same instance. You know, and only recently have I really started putting all these, like, pieces together. And that lets me know that I'm doing it. You know, that was like the it, you know, not that I am the only it to be done, but, you know, yeah, watching, it's really cool to see people come to these conclusions, see that we really are kind of all trying to tune into some same grand frequency. Mm-hmm. Yeah, because like just like you said, you'll hear a song and it just hits you right in the feels from something from when you were 6. And this musician had no way of knowing that. Mm-hmm. They don't know, you know, and even if they do, they don't know you like that, you know. There's no way they could have made a song about everybody like that, but it hits everybody because we're all going through the same 5 or 6 problems over and over. We just complicate it a little bit more than that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely unique perspectives on a collective emotion or experience.
Yeah. You talked a lot about intention and like just putting it in that space. I know when we met you, I have to say we were wandering around Mad Tea Party Jam, and you had your full art gear on, and you were art monkeys, like going strong with your shine time. And we came over, and you were just so like welcoming, and you showed us your space. And I think what really triggered a memory with me is you had this sacred space, and it was so important to you as an artist, and it made me realize how important intention and sacred space is. And it looks like you're in a pretty sacred and comfortable artsy space now. Can you tell us, like as an artist, what made you do that and create altars, and what all of the little pieces really do for you?
Gotcha. Yeah, it's a big inspiration for me, Renee Weber, another Baltimore artist. And then some of the Baltimore community really started teaching me about sacred spaces, and it helped me take kind of a almost superstitious or sentimental trinket system that I already had and kind of mash it up together. You know, I've been playing RPG since I was a little kid, and noticing that, you know, you have a little talisman, you get the extra juju, you know, whatever, +2 on magic or something. And from a young age, I started really putting these intentions into even just items and stuff like that. It wasn't until recently that I learned that there's these grand frequencies for all this stuff. For me, it was really just like a kid carries around a security blanket. Believe it or not, I really don't like leaving my house, nor my nest, or like I like very controlled spaces. And the more I set up my shrine or not just like a sacred space or anything, but just the more I very intentionally set up all my stuff around me, the more, not just control, but like the more of all of that juju and energy and security and inspiration and safe spacery, I'm able to facilitate, you know. The more, it's like playing classical music in an opera house or a concert hall that was built specifically for that composition. It's like when you start setting up your space a certain way, and you start prepping your brushes a certain way, and so on and so forth, and you go through this whole ritual where 2 or 3 days before you start painting, you're actually starting your shift of painting. By the time you get into the work of it, you already have this flow, you already have this communication with it. You know, you've taken your work day out on a date and got her a nice dinner and got to know it and asked her really deep questions and stuff, versus just trying to like pour shots down its throat. You know, setting up a sacred space really helps me, more than any spiritual or like religious connotations, just as a series of sticky notes. You know, this stone or this necklace or this thing reminded me of a conversation or an intention that I'm trying to have, and it works as kind of a moral sticky note more than I believe that thing specifically does that. Mm-hmm. You know, and in doing that, like by placing this here, I am saying that is the thing that I'm trying to do while I'm here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's like trying to like using mindfulness to experience more of the moment, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I like that. That's not a lot of things that people realize. It's like some people eat and their food's all gone, and they didn't even. They're like, "Did I just eat food?" Or?
Yeah, they don't like take the time to like appreciate it and acknowledge every step, and they just rush through life. And I feel like as artists, we have to take our time to get all the details and stuff, but it is important to like go through those steps. Like now that you say that, I do, like before I actually ever start painting, I usually take a day to just like clean the entire space and set up everything. And then I'm like, I didn't get to paint yet. But then it just like makes it such a nicer feeling when I finally get to sit down at my easel and my brushes are all there, my paint's all in like color coordinated and going for the canvas, and then the canvas just seems to flow so much easier. And it is hard being a traveling artist and doing live painting, because you get in this flow in your nest and you're like, oh yeah, I got everything right where I need it. Oh, now I got to throw it all in this bag, make sure the canvases are safe, and like get to everywhere you need to be. And then you have like this little tent and it could rain and you're like, okay, I got to keep my art safe, I got to keep me safe. Just having that little like cooler space to just like put a crystal and say, okay, I can come here and just relax and everything's going to be okay, is like such an important thing. And it was like such an inspiration to see like another artist do something like that it's definitely been on my to-do list. Anytime I go camping now, it's like I have to have something that's mine. Like you need that space.
Well, I've noticed that getting artists to do things that are outside of their whatever their respective nest is like trying to get a cat a bath. And the more of these little trinkets and doodads, and every artist has different trinkets and doodads. It might be files on their phone or what, I don't know. I know my trinkets and doodads. But it makes it easier to give the cat a bath, I think. A lot of people in our field say that wrangling creatives is like, herding kittens. So imagine not only are you herding kittens, but you're trying to bathe these kittens. And the more of that cat's nest smell that can be around, the more of that aroma that can be around, I think the easier it is to get back into that flow.
For sure.
It's so funny. Just that image of like trying to capture all those kittens.
Put them in water. They don't like water very much. But sometimes it is hard to get like an artist to like take a moment and like take away from their art for a second, because like artists and musicians are workaholics. Like when they can have a minute to do what they want to do, they're gonna do it completely detached from the outside world. Like I'm an artist, we live with a musician, and even like writing, like you want to write all the time as a writer, Stilo. Like it's just so funny to watch everybody get in their zone, and like if there's a free second, like our roommate Ashton's like making a bead online and I'm like sketching an oracle card and he's writing in his journal. Like we want to work all the time, and it's really important to like find a second to like meditate away from it and to detach from it. And cats, they need those naps too.
I'm horrible at it. I've been like tricking myself into, my lady really helps me turn down for sleep and relaxing and all that kind of stuff, and actually just watch a show without my sketchbook in the evening. And in the morning, I give myself a couple of hours of not arting, but professional art, like adulty time. Mm-hmm. Because I've noticed that once I go into art mode, even a 2-minute reply on a text message or something like that, my phone might be 3 tons at that point. You know what I mean? Like, nope, not happening. Pallet's already wet. Sorry about it. Nope, missed your window for the day. Because, getting an artist out of their, like, what they're working on is always tricky. But when I was in elementary school, I had a substitute teacher say that, the sweet spot in life is finding an avocation with your vocation. And, that was really, it stuck with me since elementary school, because it doesn't feel like I know I'm working all the time, but it doesn't feel like I'm working all the time the same way it did when I was a chef or worked in a warehouse or something like that. Like, my resting thoughts are with the art gods. My resting thoughts are with the progression of the art monkeys and arts in general. Like it's how I relax. It's how I feel good. That's how I fill my cups up and gather up all my spoons, Mm-hmm. So it's not nearly as, draining as working all the time for, a restaurant doing inventories in the middle of the night. I would much rather be painting and doing emails in the middle of the night than that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I would agree with that for sure. I guess it kind of comes back to the addiction thing. Like, some people struggle with addictions that they don't want to have and aren't the most beneficial for their lives. But I think if you can find something that you're really passionate about and that you really love, it can be a lot easier to transcend the unhealthy addiction into like something that can benefit your life and bring you happiness.
Absolutely. That's what all of this is, really. It's the same juju. The very same juju that had me strung out back in the day, the very same juju that had me a completely different monkey years ago, in really dark spaces where I consumed a lot and took a lot from a lot of good people. is the exact same drive and conviction and inability to accept no for an answer. And the same part of me that would go out and cop whatever I needed to that day is the same part of me that goes out and finishes the work that I need to each day. It's not a different thing. It's not hidden in some closet somewhere. I crave it. I yearn for it. My blood itches for it, you know. And it really wasn't getting rid of it or fixing something or becoming better or anything like that. It was just finding something else to do with it, channeling that same juju into something else. You know, and I wish that there was, I wish there was something more complicated than that for me. You know, I mean, I've been drilling it into my head for about 13 years now. So like, but, it's not easy, but it's as simple as just doing something else. Mm-hmm. You know, I wish, you know, sometimes people feel like I have a little bit of a short string for my patience for other people, in that regard, because I feel like it really is as simple. You know, it's not easy. As simple as just doing something else with that same energy. As bad as you want to go blah, blah, blah or whatnot, do a thing. Anything. Collect a stamp. You know, sand a piece of wood. You know, do a thing. Any kind of a thing. And once you do the thing and finish the thing, you'll get the same, a similar, if not more fulfilling worth that you did from that euphoric instance. And then but unlike this euphoric or chemical moment, that dwindles and goes away. This worth that you get from the completion of a project or completing a goal compounds upon itself and upon itself and upon itself. And the closest to healed or fixed I think it ever really gets is this point where what were these mountains of your detriments and experiences and trauma are now just little anthills by comparison to the mountain of worth and relevance that you brought to yourself and goodness that you brought to the people around you. Mm. You know, I haven't changed any of that stuff. I haven't undone any of the things that I've done with it, but I keep putting more jelly beans in the not crappy beer tank.
Yeah, makes so much sense.
That's such a powerful message, and I really love that. Do something, anything. Just do it and do something positive. But
yeah, really anything. I commonly get kind of barked at for how snippy I get with people on the Mac. Because, like, I have about 3 sentences worth of energy for you, and by the third one, I'm telling you to do a thing or get over it.
I feel you. That's totally, we're on the same page. We're totally on the same page. Do something. Just, you can do anything. And, yeah, I love that. I love everything that you stand for. I love the message you've shared, and your style is awesome. Your artwork is beautiful. I think we're getting to the part where you tell us where we can find you this summer and where we can find you online and any other news or upcoming events that's happening in your world.
Gotcha. Let's see. This summer I'll be Freeform Music and Arts Festival. It's going to be awesome. It's like my home burn essentially. Mad Tea Party.
Yeah.
Yep.
My schedule just went blank.
Hey, that happens.
Summerfest, Artscape here in Baltimore, Farm Fest, Big Dub, I think Imagine, and Symbiosis out in Cali, but I haven't finished all my paperwork for that, forgive me. Find me at harrisoncrawford.com, and that's where I have all my write-ups for everything and a lot more explanations for everything. I'm kind of putting a book together. On there's a gift shop that goes to my web shop. I just released, or just ordered a bunch more posters. So next Monday, giant, like 18 by 24 posters of some of my work is about to be out.
That's awesome.
And I think that was all the questions.
Yeah. Well, that sounds like you have a pretty full schedule, but I'm really excited for you. I also would like to tell you that you're one of the first artists, and I'm personally putting you on the nominee list for Crystal Chalice Awards 2016. So you are one of the nominees, and hopefully you'll be able to share that with your crew, and maybe you can even come in live paint if your schedule is not too full on September 3rd. So
sounds awesome. Yeah.
What'd you say?
It sounds awesome. I think I'm in Cali early September. When is that thing?
We're doing the Crystal Chalice Awards this year, September 3rd at the Windsor Castle in Cumberland, Maryland. So if you're too far away, we understand, but we send you your love, and you'll still be on the nominee list, so people can still vote for you to have a chance to win one of our Crystal Chalice Awards.
Cool. Very cool. Very cool. I'll double check the schedule and get back to you guys.
Yeah.
Sweet. Thank you, Harrison.
Awesome. Do you have anything else you'd like to share with the Project Bring Me to Life community?
You guys are awesome. I'm really glad to be a part of this. Thank you. And, no, that was it. Thank you guys for helping me get the message of the art gods out there.
Beautiful.
Yeah, definitely.
Well, thank you for staying awake and shining on with us always. Thanks for shining on with us.